When you think about it, resistance is a currency. What is resistance? Can it be overcome? Today we will provide some clarity on this concept of resistance and then give you some tools that you can use to overcome it.
It's time to reverse the field and look at self-publishing through a different lens. Self-publishing authors believe that they need to complete their book and then go after an audience. But doesn't it make sense to create a following for your story before it's finished, so when that time comes for your book release, readers will be waiting in line to purchase your book? Aguante Publishing's experienced marketing team is prepared and ready to do that for you and your masterpiece.
Pushing through resistance is the price we pay. It's the currency or outcome of having everything that we want.
Hello, I'm Linnetta.
I'm Patrick.
And together we are co-founders of
Verticalconnections Inc.
Thank you for joining us once again.
Yes.
If you're new to this channel, please be sure to subscribe. Everyone click the like button, the bell icon, and share this message.
Also, we greatly appreciate when you leave comments, and we look forward to those in the future.
Resistance is an incredibly common challenge. If anyone says that they have never
Right.
experienced resistance at some point, you have to know that they are not telling you the truth.
No.
It's really what we do in the face of resistance that matters. It's the action of pushing through that truly makes a big difference in our long-term success or failure.
What is resistance? How can resistance show up? And what does it look like?
If you think about resistance, it's more of the psychological, a mental, and emotional barrier that we create personally.
Yes.
That hinder our progress toward a goal.
We literally create our own resistance. There's no external circumstance that can create your resistance. It's something that we create and that we ultimately choose.
Resistance can show up in a lot of different experiences. One way to think of it would be like an adult throwing a temper tantrum. So it starts with a person not wanting to do a certain thing. They start stomping their foot or digging their heels into the floor. Maybe they do something
To completely turn their brain off, like watching Netflix, playing a game, or they get that overwhelming desire to take care of house chores.
laughing because I've personally been there, done that, do that. So this is the level that some will go to, all because of resistance, which ends up taking on the form of procrastination.
Oh.
They just don't want to do the thing, so they are going to
Entertain?
entertain themselves or numb their mind to what it's need to be done.
So if you're someone who has that kind of adult temper tantrum experience or desires to procrastinate, those are forms of resistance.
Resistance also shows up in fear a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's fear of failure, that the thing you're resisting won't work, or perhaps you have a fear of success and what that will mean as far as what type of obligations that will bring about.
Resistance also shows up in self-doubt. That's a big one. Uncertainty, lack of motivation. There are certain things that we are never motivated to do in our business.
There are certain things that cause our motivation to come and go. Then there is that which we are always motivated to do regardless, to get the level of where the business we want to be today. And this is true for everything, every single person who's created any level of business success.
We all probably experience many different forms of resistance that cause distractions. In business, most of the time we're not motivated to do the really big things that need to be done. A lot of the times they're hard and they require a lot of energy and mental effort.
This goes against the human brain because we have programmed it to seek pleasure and rest and not to do all the hard things. So it's kind of natural reaction for our brains, okay? This is true especially when it comes to procrastination or the fear of doubt or the lack of motivation. Yes, it is true. These things can cause those adult
Temper tantrums. We have to look at the motivation cycle to better understand this resistance. Most people think that they're going to take action when they're motivated, and that's not how it works. Most of the time, motivation is an end result rather than the starting point.
ready to go back and do it again and maintain that cycle. For us, we know we have to continue to learn about marketing and sales so that we can continue to bring the best support and product to our clients.
We have learned and understand that there are causes and effects, and if we take these actions, we'll get the desired results. This leads to more clients and more people being served because of the services that we are providing.
But if you rely on motivation alone to reach a goal, you may end up sorely disappointed.
Yes.
Rarely do you find successful entrepreneurs who have relied solely on motivation. We recognize resistance in ways that it shows up for us, and we say to ourselves, moving through this is the price we need to pay in order to have the business we desire.
Yes. Now that we've brought some clarity to the word resistance and talked a little bit about how it can show up, it is also important to acknowledge where resistance can originate from.
There are some who want their business to be perfect right off the gate, right off the bat. If this is the case, you may have to wait for a very long time to start that business. Being perfect right off is probably not going to happen.
No.
Your focus should be to do all that you can to make it the best you can and realize that there will be some trial and error.
Be prepared for resistance to creep in. For many, fear of being judged and fear of rejection will cause you to stall or deviate from your plans and goals. Prepare yourself for that negative comment and then overcome it.
You have to let go of the past experiences or perceived failures or self-questioning and or neglect self-talk. We have to let go of the desire of perfectionism and the fear of judgment and rejection.
So let's talk about some things that we can do to overcome resistance, because this is how to push through to success. It is the price we pay to have what we want.
First, it is necessary to develop self-awareness around this. You have to understand and identify and name resistance in the ways that it shows up for you.
This means that you start to understand your own truth and your own patterns, because it's really easy to lie to ourselves or just not spend the time to recognize things.
Self-awareness and recognition of what's going on for you and how it shows up for you is definitely key.
Second thing that's going to help you push through resistance is being clear on what it is that you want, and this comes in the form of what's going to be your short-term goals, long-term goals, and why they're important to you.
Next step is to make sure that you have a routine.
Yes.
So if you are just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants when you're trying to build a business or scale your business, it's not going to work.
One of the main requirements to be successfully self-employed is discipline. Discipline, personal integrity, following through, sticking to your word are all ways that will be most helpful to you.
Start with the pre-planning your calendar. If you can pre-plan your strategy to hit those goals and then create a routine around it, have certain segments of the day to do certain things. When you are pre-planning, it's really, I really would encourage you to do it the night before if you are not one to do it, if it's something that can't be done in the month,
Right.
prior month. But sometimes those activities that you know that you want to do, you need to do it the night before. Write them down so you really will do them.
Yeah. For example, some people are more creative at the beginning of the day. So they need to be sure that those tasks involve creativity are done first.
Some people need to have a cup of coffee and let their mind wake up before they delve into tasks that take a lot of thought. It comes down to knowing yourself and then setting your schedule so that your tasks will be completed successfully.
When you're an entrepreneur, the deadlines are yours. You can always measure yourself on how well you're doing by asking yourself the question, if you were being managed by someone else or you had a boss, would you still have this job? Would they believe that you're doing a good job at what you're doing? Or would you be fired? Most folks, we hate to say, would be fired.
So having the routine and the discipline is so important once you set those clear goals. Understand what your resistant patterns look like so that you can notice and name them and move through them.
There's a huge component to accountability when it comes to moving through resistance. have a program or routine that is very specific in terms of timelines and pace and check-in points for reference. The reporting that you need to do should be written down and followed through.
It's not always necessary for everybody to require an external accountability to create results that don't seem realistic for long term.
Someone who doesn't have internal motivation or someone who doesn't really want it won't have external accountability forever, even if they have the initial results.
Know yourself well enough to admit if you need a lot of structure and accountability. There's nothing wrong when you understand what you need in order to have your goals.
So make sure that you have a specific structure and strategy to follow step by step. Even though you might get to a certain task and feel like, I don't want to do this, it's going to be so much easier for you to continue moving forward if you do that.
Now, when it comes to resistance, don't resist being adaptable.
Oh, yes.
Markets are changing all the time. Online space is changing all the time. You have to be willing to grow and evolve well, consistently.
If you can do that, if you can stay adaptable, if you can continue growing, if you can stay connected to your vision and to your why, you can learn from things that didn't go well.
Remember, resistance or pushing through resistance is a part of currency, the outcome of success. Pushing through resistance is the price you will pay to have life in business that you want.
So step up to the plate and commit. If that is hard for you and you struggle with that, you need to know that you have to have accountability. Find a quality accountability coach.
Perhaps you just have no idea what strategy game plans to look for or how to get your business launched or scaled. Whatever stage you're at,
Yes.
connect with someone who has overcome the obstacles and reached mastery.
We thank you so much for joining us today. We pray that this has helped you in certain ways and that you can apply it to your business to make it that much better. So until next time,
Get connected
to go vertical. Bye-bye.